2015 BMW R9T. Some of the things I've added, obviously, is the front bug deflector there. It's really all is a bug deflector because it really doesn't block much wind. It keeps the bugs out of the gauges, which is kind of nice, so you don't have to, when you're washing it, reach inside there and clean it up. And I think it looks cool. I like the silver look. They also have it in black. This is Rizoma, but that's really nice. I've also got these valve covers. Not that they would really protect too much, but I guess it's peace of mind, and if one of these things gets damaged, it's big time bucks. So I put those on. Other than that, there's not much that I've done to the bike. It's basically stock. And, well, I did add this little thing here, just so that I know what I'm dealing with. But it's been a great bike so far. There's way more pros than cons. It runs great. It rides easy, very smooth, easy to shift. Braking is fantastic. These are pretty good, but they're not adjustable, so you get what you get. The rear shock is adjustable, so if I were to kind of adjust this, I could get it. But to be honest with you, I've never really I did it one time, set it, and it's never been adjusted since. I've had a passenger on it a couple times. It's pretty easy, and it's pretty comfortable for them, so they say. So that's really good. The color is fantastic. I think it's just a beautiful bike. I love the black on aluminum. Brushed aluminum looks really cool. But that's some of the things that I like about it. If you get a R9T for yourself, one of the things I highly recommend is getting a booster plug in there. It really smooths the bike out. So going from, in a lower gear, if you're just kind of cruising at a very low speed, it kind of helps the shiftiness. It kind of equals out the gas and air ratio, and makes it just a smoother bike to ride. The other thing that you got to get, and these may seem trivial, but these little 90-degree angle air intake valves here, whatever you call them, they really help out, because trying to get something up in there to put air in your tires is kind of a pain. So get the 90-degree. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of this bike. And I guess I'll do it kind of together, because some of the pros are cons, and maybe they're really not pros and cons. They're just, things that are unique to this bike that make it, I guess, more special or different than other bikes. The first thing I like about this bike, besides its looks, that's what really drew it to me, was just how cool it looked. I mean, there wasn't really anything like it on the market, like there were some things that were close, nothing quite like this R9T. So just the looks of it really just stood out to me. And I guess everybody has their own preference what looks good, but this one really stood out to me, and I just thought it was beautiful. So looks were the first thing that grabbed my attention. The second thing I love about this bike is the way it sounds. I think the stock exhaust on this thing just is amazing. I mean, it sounds just, it's really throaty, it's deep, it's got some gurgle, but it really sounds great. I'm not saying I wouldn't put a aftermarket exhaust on it, because quite honestly, I probably would. But what they have, this stock exhaust, is fantastic. So hopefully on the video you can hear kind of what it sounds like, because that's one of my favorite things. The third thing I like about this bike, it's very easy to drive and maneuver and handle. I mean, it's got 1170 cc's, but it's light, it's down, I mean, all the weight seems to be down at my feet. So, it's very balanced. Never once did I feel out of balance at all. So it rides real balance. And full disclosure, this is my first bike. So, I mean, I've rode a lot when I was a kid, but I think it says a lot if I can jump on a R9T and pick it up and off I go. Now, yes, this is my first bike. I would not recommend to everybody picking up a bike for your first time and jumping on an 1170 cc engine. I did take my rider safety course and passed. I do have a background, like I said, in riding two-wheeled vehicles, albeit dirt bikes, and many wrecks and hitting trees and that sort of thing. I also have a background in driving stick shift cars, so I understand what clutch and the sound of an engine revving and neutral and riding on a hill and all that stuff. I'm a fairly cautious driver. I mean, people who've ridden with me in a car tell me I drive like a grandpa sometimes. When I need to get somewhere, though, I know how to get there. But, you know, I'm very cautious. I'm always looking around. Try to pay attention as best I can to what's going on around me. And that kind of leads me into another point about this bike, is it is very basic. So, for example, you don't have cruise control. You don't even have heated grips, which I wish they did make standard, because I could have used those a few times last fall and in the winter. So you don't have all those rider aids and all that stuff to distract you, which I think is helpful to a new rider. Okay, get a basic bike where all you have to think about is the road, the people around you, shifting, braking, that sort of thing. Don't worry about if you're in rain mode or dynamic mode, dynamic pro. You just don't have, just one less thing to think about. Quite honestly, I was really nervous about riding with this GoPro, but I've kind of worked my way up to it. I started with just riding with the GoPro and didn't say anything. I just filmed and captured video. I definitely wouldn't recommend you buying a motorcycle, hopping on the bike, and slapping a GoPro to the front of your face and start talking. You've got a lot to worry about. So very easy to ride. Obviously, it's all in the wrist, so you know you want to take it easy if you're new, but and it'll definitely get up there. I've done that. It's got some power, and it's got a lot of low-end torque, which is another thing I really like. I've never had to downshift to get power or speed. I can get it in any gear. Not only that, but you can see that a lot of guys and gals have taken this bike because it's a very easy bike to ride, and because it's so customizable, done pretty much anything they wanted to it, and that's pretty awesome. At the same time, first of all, you're buying a bike that's $15,000, and then you're tearing it apart and completely rebuilding it, and the prices on anything customization are through the roof. I mean, yeah, I know right now they have a cool incentive program where they'll give you $1,000, but when I bought this bike last year, first of all, I paid full price, but the accessories they have are really cool. So heated grips you can add, it's not standard. I really like the hump, the silver hump in the back. That's awesome. Not to mention the exhausts and everything else that they have is really, really cool. Everything else I just love about this bike. It's just so easy to ride. It's fun. It looks cool. Sounds great. I mean, just smooth. If you want a smooth bike, here it is. Except for that bump.